And welcome back to my channel. My name is Caira and I make videos on tips, tricks, and organization for small space living. Today's video is all about how you should decorate your studio apartment. This is now the second studio apartment I've lived in. The first one I lived in by myself, then I moved into a house with my boyfriend, and now we are back into living in a studio apartment together with our cute little dog. Oh no, you know what? I just said that and I realized I need to tell you there's been a tragedy. Not really, don't feel sorry for me. Oh God, it's so bad. Okay, be nice because he's feeling really sensitive, but Louie got a haircut and it's not the best. Please look at what my adorable little floof was. What are you? What did they do to you? He'll be living in a sweater until his hair grows back. Anywho, since I've lived in a couple of studios now, I feel like I have a good idea of what's the best thing to do to decorate them, and I've learned so much since my first studio. When I look back at that video, it makes me cringe at seeing like some of the decor I did that I thought was really cute and a good idea. Yeah, no, it wasn't. But I do love how my apartment's decorated now, so I thought I'd teach you what I've learned along the way. My first tip is no matter if you're in a studio, a one bedroom, whatever it is, if your place is small and you wanna make it seem bigger, get mirrors. I love having mirrors in my apartment. Right now, we just have one mirror and it's our leaning mirror that stands in the corner of the room, but I love it in that position because it reflects off of every other angle of our apartment and it makes the whole apartment look bigger. Mirrors are just a really easy thing to put up. They're decently cheap and they really open up your space. They add a lot more light. If you put a mirror on a wall that's facing a window, your apartment is going to be double as bright because that light is just going to reflect. They're a super easy thing to do and they make a huge difference. Mirrors are the easiest item to put up to make the biggest difference, if that makes sense. So if you don't have a big mirror in your apartment, I highly recommend getting one. You will notice it right away. My next thing is you have to be careful balancing your bold decorations and your more neutral decorations. So when you're in a small space, it can feel very overwhelming to have bold on bold on bold. I personally am more of like a neutrals girl, so I do a lot of whites and creams and tans and natural wood color, but I do like a pop of color here and there. So as you can see, my couch is just a nice brown, it blends in. All of our furniture is wood, but then we have this bold blue carpet that really adds a breath of life and color into the room and ties in a lot of the different elements together. I love having that blue carpet and I love that it's a vintagey wash. It is like an art statement without making it so that way we have a really brightly colored couch or things like that that just can become very overwhelming. If we had a colored couch on top of our colored rug, the room would just feel way too loud for me, and so I really like mixing my neutrals with my brights. Also in the bedroom, as you can see, we have this huge map on the wall and I love it and I love how it looks. It's a really cool statement piece and I'll tell you more about things on your walls in a second, but because that is so big and so colorful, our bedding is white and gray. It is neutrals. We have a white rug on the ground. Everything around that area is all neutrals except for the map. Another thing I want to point out is make sure that everything you have in your apartment draws your eyes up. You want all of your art and everything to go upwards because it will make your room seem bigger. The more you raise everything up and fill your space appropriately, but start from the top, it will make your space feel a lot bigger and it will just make people look up more and feel like you have taller ceilings as well. We are very lucky in our apartment. We do have really tall ceilings, so this is a huge advantage for us. It's still important to continue your items going vertically. So like you can see behind me, I have this calendar and then above it, I got this really cool Chicago pennant. Having the two things layered, it will keep your eyes looking upwards, and then you'll go and see the open shelving, which then leads to the plants that I have on top of the cabinet. It brings your sight of line up and along to make your space feel more elongated and taller. You'll also notice we have two tall dressers. They're not the long wide ones, they're tall dressers, and this is really important because we literally do not have the floor space for long dressers, but we do for tall dressers. We put two tall plants. So we have a fiddle leaf and it's even on a riser, and then we also have an elephant ear plant and those grow really tall as well. Next to it we have a small table with another tall fiddle leaf, so all of those are just really tall plants that keep your eyesight looking up. Next to that we also have our neon sign. I love our neon sign. We have the air conditioning unit above it, so I probably would have even put it higher higher if we didn't have the AC unit there, but because we did, it kind of has to go in the middle, but even still, it's above your average sight line. So it's a little bit taller, and because the skyline goes upwards, it continues the upward flow. Next, in between our windows, this one's really hard to catch on camera because our windows are so bright, but we have this long skinny wall, and it was always begging for us to put stuff on it. So at the top, we have this really cool vintage clock that we got. In the middle, we have this old school Chicago map, and it's on paper, and it's hung in one of those vintagey wood and string holders. I don't know what those are called. And then at the bottom, we have a piece of art, which is actually the Buffalo Bills football stadium, but it's really minimalistically drawn, which I think is really cool. And then we also got a pennant that just says, "Let's go Buffalo." One thing I learned that I find really true is there's a rule of 3. So things typically look better in 3s. So we have the clock, the map, and then the Buffalo Bills stuff at the bottom. We have our 3 plants together. I think that looks really good. If all else fails and you don't know what to do, always go with a rule of 3s. I find that 3 is the best number if you really can't figure out what to do with this space. The last wall I want to point out is a wall that is facing our bedroom. You wouldn't really see it unless you're on our bed. I like this space a lot because we don't do a lot of cheesy, lovey stuff in our apartment. I tried to keep it really unisex so that way it feels like both of our apartments and it's not just mine, but I can be a little cheesy and I like lovey stuff here and there. So we have this frame at the top, and the frame is actually 4 pictures of places that are important to Alex and I gave that to him for our first anniversary. Below that, we got this really cool camp flag that says "Had to be you," and I love that it's black and white and it's just simple, and I like the saying on it. It's sweet and kind of corny without being too much, and I really like how that wall looks. And it's nice because this is a spot that's in our bedroom as much as we have a bedroom, and you can only really see it from the bed, and so it kind of feels like a little bit of like a secret, like little cheesy like love wall without being like bold and in the middle of the living room. I wouldn't want things that are that sentimental to be up and in the middle of our living space, but I like that I was able to have this little wall off to the side. This one, I started with the wider item at the top, so the picture frame is wider than the camp flag, and then the camp flag, because it comes to a point at the bottom, it's a really good way to draw your eyes up, and it comes down and is smaller at the bottom, and I think that makes it very aesthetically pleasing. I did want to point out the camp flag, this Chicago pennant, and then our little "Let's Go Buffalo" pennant. Those are all from a company called Oxford Pennants. I've seen this pennant all over Chicago. They sell it in shops a lot here, and I thought that was really neat, and I went onto the website, and that was a dangerous idea because their stuff is super, super cute. It's all made in the US. It's actually made in Buffalo, New York, which is where my boyfriend's from, so that's why we got like the Buffalo Bills stuff and whatnot from them. I really love supporting local small companies, and knowing that it's from his hometown I think is really cool. And they also do like custom stuff, and they've worked with companies like Urban Outfitters and Coachella and Nike. I'm just gonna throw it out there. If you know anyone getting married, they have the cutest stuff. Like our camp flag is technically supposed to be for weddings, but they have a black and white pennant that says "Till Death," and it has 2 skulls, and like, oh, I can't wait till one of my like more like grungy friends gets married because I'm totally getting it for them. I love supporting small businesses, so I was really excited about that one and wanted to tell you guys about it. I'll have all of the info for Oxford Pennants down in my description box, but yeah, super cool company. All right guys, that's just some quick information I have for you on how to decorate your studio apartment. Basically, to sum it up, mirrors, make sure your eyes get drawn up and do a good balance of bold and neutrals. I feel like that's the best way to make your small space not feel super overwhelming, but be well decorated and make the best use of it. Also, if all else fails, always go with the rule of 3s. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or anything, comment down below. I love interacting with you guys. Follow me on Instagram. Shoot me a message and let me know you're a subscriber. I love talking to you guys through Instagram. Like, it's been really fun, and I feel like I've gotten to know you a lot more. And if you haven't, obviously hit the big red subscribe button. I know you want more content from me. I post 2 times a week. Why wouldn't you do it? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.